and welcome back to Drop the Box. Today we're going to be showing you how to fit a split charge system and a leisure battery on this Volkswagen Transporter 6.1. So the first thing we want to do when we start is we need to run a power cable from the battery into the cab. So to do this, we need to take this cowling, just loosen it enough to get underneath this cowling. Take a panel off underneath there, and then I shall show you what's underneath. And as always, when you're doing any work, always disconnect the negative on the battery first. So now that the battery is disconnected, tuck the negative down there out of the way so it can't accidentally move and touch the battery. Now we need to pull this rubber off here. Now what we need to do is take this panel off under here. So there's one T27 there, and then the other one is just about here. So what we're going to do is wedge a screwdriver underneath there, and there's the top of the screw. So just take these out, and then that panel should come off. So once those two screws are out, the panel will drop down, and then just pull it out, like so. And now, right at the back of there, there's a grommet. So that's the grommet we're going to use to thread our cable through into the cab. So we need to take that out first. So that's our grommet, and that's our hole leading into the cab. So if we go into the cab now, so what you need to do is ideally take this step off. Where is it? So you need to take that tread plate off, and it's literally just held in by those clips that everyone's favourite to break. Yeah, so it literally just pulls out. As you can see, there's a few of these clips everywhere. And then what we need to do then is pull the flooring back just a bit, so we got enough room to get up there and feed the cable through. So now the cable has been threaded through, just cut a little hole in that grommet. This way it's not going to rub up against anything. Then you need to route the wire down there, and then there's, I don't know if you can see it, there's another little grommet that allows it to pass through between the panels. So you can just thread that in there, and it'll come out the other side. So this is the other end of our cable, and we got two options really. Some vehicles won't have this little additional fuse box, but this one does, so we'll just go off one of these. The other option then would be just wire it straight off the positive of the battery. But don't forget, you need to put a fuse in between as well. So we'll put this link wire in now, and well, we won't connect it up just yet, but that will go in off one of these. This is all nice and neat, and we want to leave it disconnected for now until we finish all the rest of the wiring. So yeah, really can put the panel back on now as long as you've got enough length of wire and you've adjusted it. So now we're going to go inside now and run the cable. So as you can see, I have actually pulled the seats out already. Lucky I can do a bit of editing here. So we'll jump back now and I will show you how to take these seats out. It isn't very complicated at all. There's 8 nuts and it looks worse than what it is, but all the plugs are color coded and they can, so it's really idiot proof. So we'll skip to that and then we'll come back. And to take the passenger seats out, lift up the front and then the seat base will fold over, and then you have got 8 nuts to take out. So it's 4 on this side and then 4 on that side. And then you got to disconnect all of these plugs. So there's 4 there. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 to disconnect down there. And just take that fuse holder out. There's a little tab down there. So now with the seat removed, we need to run this cable. So what I would recommend doing is just run it in all of the channels, really, so I'm out of the way of any where people are going to rest their feet or stand. So we sort of run it like that, and then we'll go under the carpet here. So once you're happy with how it's run, so I've sort of kept it all along the back here, just out of the way of everything. There's a nice little channel there, and then comes in then where the original wiring comes in. So once you're happy with it, make sure it's not going to be rubbing anywhere. I'd recommend just putting a bit of duct tape over it in certain areas just to make sure it doesn't move. Now you may be wondering why have we only run a positive wire? Well, that's because under these seats there's an earthing point, so we can use that for our negative. And just connect a wire to it there. It's just a case of putting everything back down tidy. So away. So there we are. We've got our cables run now under the seat. Now this battery tray I've got off eBay for about £25, and that just sits, should sit on there like that, and then that will bolt into the seat, and then that will keep the battery secure. I'll obviously leave a link for all the bits and bobs I find that I use in doing this in the description. So just to show you what clearance we've got, I've just got this straight edge. So this isn't the battery I'll be using, this is a spare battery. So this is a normal standard size battery, and as you can see there, it's perfectly level with either side of the seat. Obviously this is going to be important when we put the seat back on, just to make sure nothing shorts out or catches on the seat on the terminals. So it's just in fact I'll just put up the maximum what dimensions the batteries. I'll put up the dimensions now of the battery I don't know them off the top of my head, but I'll put them on the bottom of the screen now, so you know what size battery I'm using. So I've been having a bit of a play around with the layout. I think this is going to be the best position for the battery, the split charger. So all you need to do is just put 2 bolts through that side, and it's pretty secure. What else is there? So we need 2 negative cables, 16mm squared. 2 negative cables coming off the negative connection under the carpet, and then just need to terminate the end of the positive that we've run from the battery, and just stick them, wire them into the battery charger. Find the hole. That's one it. So yeah, so as you can see on the battery charger, positive in, 1 negative, so that's a shared negative, and then we got a positive then coming out, and that'll go to the battery. So we'll just connect up what we got so far, and we'll go on to the next step. So this is where we're at. That negative goes from the chassis negative under the seat, and I'll go to the battery. And then we got this positive then that comes out of the inverter, split charge relay, and that is also fused. Just in case you're wondering, it needs to be a 60 amp fuse, and the wiring is 16mm squared, and that's the wiring throughout the van, and the fuse that's in the front is also a 60 amp as well. The other thing I've put attached to the side here, so this is a little fuse panel, so we got a max fuse that can go in there, and then we got the smaller mini fuses, because this is sort of like a work van setup rather than like a leisure use sort of thing. That's why I've got the max fuse in there, because we're going to be running an Anderson plug off there, so that needs to be a bigger connection. And yeah, well, we just need the next step now is to put the proper battery in place and just make sure everything fits in the right locations and finishing wiring everything up, but the majority is done. So the battery has arrived. That's the battery. It's 110 amp hour, and this should be the biggest battery that we can fit on these seats. So, moment of truth, see if my measurements are accurate. Fits in there quite nicely. Check the fuse cover can go on. Oh, it's tight. It's tight. That's on there. Right. That, I don't think it could have got any more perfect. So it all fits, just about. More luck and judgment, I think. But it's all in. There's all plenty of room there. So now we need to continue with the rest of the wiring. So now the battery's in. If you remember from, ignore that cable for a minute. So this looks like, you know, a sort of spider's web, but it's actually quite simple with the wiring. In fact, I'll just put a wiring diagram up now on the screen so you can see how it is wired in. Obviously, all of this is in the instructions with this DC to DC charger from Victron. So all I've done here, we've got 3 cables going into the unit. So the first red one on the inside, that's on our vehicle battery, and then we've got a common earth then, common negative, which is obviously under the carpet here, and then we have got the output. So that output cable just goes straight to our leisure battery, and as you can see, I haven't connected the negative for the leisure battery, and that's again off the common earth. What you need to do now with this connected is you need to download the Victron app on your phone and just connect it up. So as you can see there, it's recognized that this device is here, so you just set up the Bluetooth device as you would normally. If you do get any problems, put it in airplane mode, because I did have a few problems with this, but put it in airplane mode and then it connected straight away. So if we go into this, that's the sort of screen I'll show you. So we can see here now that it's connected and it's recognized the input voltage. So at this point, what you need to do is connect your leisure battery, and then we've got this little link plug then that goes into the Victron underneath. Find the hole. Yeah. So that's the sequence you need to do things. So leave your leisure battery disconnected. You need to set up the Victron app through Bluetooth. So this is paired with your phone. Once you've done that, then you connect the negative terminal. Then you put the link wire in. So now when we go back onto the Victron app, what you need to do is you need to go up to settings up the top. You need to select charger. Then you need to go to battery settings. And then you need to select present. And then it'll be just a list then of all the different batteries that you can connect to it. So this is an AGM battery, so we'll select that. And then all the other details then are automatically populated. So, and we'll go back out to settings eventually. And if you look at engine shutdown detection, we've enabled that. And again, this is all preset. And here's where you can select if you've got a regular alternator or a smart alternator. Now, on most modern vehicles, you'll always have a smart alternator. The best way to find out is if you go, I'll just show you. If we go over to the vehicle's battery, we've got this little battery sensor here. So if you've got one of them, chances are you've got a smart alternator. And another way to check it is start your vehicle up and leave it running for a while. And if you've got a normal alternator, you'll find it'll be charging at about 14 volts. And if you've got a smart alternator, after the vehicle's been running for a while, it'll just maintain the voltage at about 12.5 volts. So that's the difference between a regular alternator and a smart alternator. And the reason why it just maintains the voltage at, about 12.5 volts, that saves strain on the engine, and then it goes back then into the fuel economy side of things. So you only get what you need. You only need 12.5 volts, so that's all the smart alternators supply you with. Now that all this is connected up and we've saved the settings on the app, just connect to it again. What we can do now, if I leave that down there, if I start the van now, we should see a change here. So as you can see now, we've got a couple of different values now. So the 14.9 volts or 14.7 is what's been put out by the vehicle's battery, and then the output voltage then, that's what's being supplied to the leisure battery. So that just goes to show, and then there's obviously different, it'll tell you then what state of charge the battery's in and what the charger's doing. So at the moment we're on the absorption charge, and this will change depending on how much power and things is in your battery. So that is basically, the full setup for this, you know, split charging system. So this is how you install the split charge system and install your leisure battery. Now obviously to run appliances and whatever else off this, you'll need to take, where are we, a chunkier, depending on, obviously it all depends on what you want to run really, but just hypothetically here, you'd add another cable onto the positive and onto the negative, and then you'd have a nice chunky cable going over then to a fuse box similar to that down there, and then you can make all different circuits then off that, whichever you prefer. In this application at the moment, I've actually just got temporary wire there, or temporary cable there, going to this inverter that I've installed there. Now the cable's only a 16mm cable, so really I need a bigger cable for that, but I've covered the cable by just putting a 60 amp fuse there, so that will cover the cable for its capacity. But once I get a thicker cable, probably 25mm, something like that, I'll run that in then, and then that will power our inverter. That's basically it. You just need to install the fuse panel like that, and just do your research before wiring in different appliances, just to make sure you've got the correct size cable, and you've got the correct size cable, correct size fuses, and all of that is depending on what consumers you use. This is, like I said, this is a pretty basic setup because it's just going to be a working van. But this is your setup. But if you had your camper vans and things like that, this is basically what you're going to have to start with anyway. You've got to have your leisure battery, and you've got to have a way of charging it. So this is your basic startup here, and then I suppose in the future I could do another follow-on video of maybe adding different circuits and things like that. But for now, that's basically it. What I will do is we'll just do a quick summarise, I think, of everything we've done. So to summarise, you need to run 16mm cable with a fuse, 60 amp fuse, and I can connect up here on these fused spurs sort of things, or you can connect it directly to your positive on your battery. Obviously make sure there's a fuse in there and don't connect it up while you're running the wire. So the cable will run through the bulkhead, through the grommet, and then you can run it down here under the carpet, all the way around, and then come up through the cutaway in the carpet, and then that cable goes into your input of your DC to DC charger. The next thing we need to do is get your ground, and you can get your ground or your negative from the common earthing point that's under the seat. So you need to make two connections here, one for the DC charger, and then your other cable then is going to be going to your leisure battery. So that's your second connection complete. And your last one is you just need a power supply going to your battery from the DC to DC charger. And again, this is 16mm cable, and we have got a 60 amp fuse in it as well. The rating for this is only 30 amps, and 60 amp fuse is more than safe to cover the cable. So that's what's in there, and that's also what Victron recommend in their guidance. And that is it. It is as simple as that. It's just, it is a bit of a job to. I suppose you don't have to take the seats out. You probably could take it in another way, but you know, it's not a bad job. So I guess we'll just leave it for there for now, and we shall see if we can get another video up in the future of a few other things. And that's it. That's how you install a split charger and a leisure battery on a Volkswagen T6.1. Please stay tuned, because there's going to be plenty more content involving this van. We've got loads of bits and bobs lined up. We're going to be turning into our works van. So stay tuned for all the rest of the modifications to come. I'll see you again.